What's up, internet world? Where the news...
Can't even get there.
What's up, internet world? We're the News 19 Nerds. I'm Michael.
I'm Leroy.
I'm Sister Knight.
Your face ain't even all the way on.
Yeah, we gonna keep that.
Yes.
That's what we got.
It isn't working. All right. She's Sister Knight. I'm Knight's sister. Okay.
Fantastic. Yep.
All right.
Just so we don't get sued.
So
Right.
I'm guessing we're here to talk about the Watchmen.
The Watchmen.
I hope so.
If
Otherwise,
not,
we
this
just started
is
a
a
militia video.
this is
We
a
really
wild
did.
video.
What's going on?
At least it wasn't the skull.
Lauren got some announcements to make.
Yeah.
So we watched The Watchmen. That is based not on the movie.
Right.
No.
Based on the
Not
comics.
on the Snyderverse.
Yeah, it's based on it's a follow up to the comics.
Right.
30 years, more or less, after the comics.
Facts.
Facts. 1 out of 3 of us read this book.
When did
You
we
too.
do?
I'll let you guess which one read it.
You could too. I would let you borrow it, but y'all can't be trusted.
If anything, you know that the materials that you have given me are in safekeeping.
Right.
No, I don't know that.
I mean, you don't, but you have to believe.
I don't. I don't.
You believe.
I don't.
It looks good though. I mean, I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up. I will read it.
Watchmen. So initial reactions. Episode 1.
Five out of 5 Calvaries.
Okay, 5 out of 5 Cowboys.
Yeah, it was definitely 5 out of 5. I'm not gonna say Calvaries because I don't mess with them like that. But yeah, 5 out of 5. Things.
Okay.
I'm
I'm gonna say 3.5
All right.
out of 5 Black Oklahomas. Just because we'll get into the spoilers, but
Yeah.
they posit a lot of things that I think are great, but until they answer the questions, I don't know yet, because it could just be we got these ideas, but are you really going to follow through on them? And I hope they do.
Allah Lost.
Yeah, yeah.
Since it's written by one of the same people,
Damon Lindelof.
correct?
He also did The Leftovers,
Which-
and people love The Leftovers.
That was great.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it could be hit or miss.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
Personally, I loved it because of the imagery that this show did. To me, changed the game like the book did. Now, this book came out in the 80s. I probably was 4, 5, 6 or something. This came out
I
before my
wasn't
time.
born yet.
But The Watchmen, the book changed the game.
Okay.
It really put a lot for those of you who don't know about The Watchmen or the book or the history surrounding it. The Watchmen was originally supposed to use Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, those characters, and Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore was going to use those characters for this story. DC was like, nah, you not about to do what I think you about to do.
With our
Yeah.
golden gooses.
So-
Yeah, you gotta make some more people.
Nah, homie. So, but then they were like, we got these other characters. Have at it. And so Alan Moore was like, bet. And then he created The Watchmen. Out of that, we got this book, and it changed the game, and it showed that the storytelling in graphic novels could be more than just I punch you and you punch me. Gamma rays.
This was dark, but dark with a purpose.
Dark
Right.
with a purpose, and
It's not just like, oh, everything's got to be gritty and stuff.
Yeah.
it started that whole gritty, dark, brooding kind of thing, but also for
Because
those
you
of
said
you,
this was the 80s, so what
Yeah.
came after this? Was that like Sin City type style?
you start
after
seeing
that?
stuff, Sin City, things like that. But the thing what a lot of people forget, think about what's going on during the 80s. Nuclear war was ever present, and so
Cold War, all that stuff.
yeah, so all of that stuff was kind of like.
That's how we get in.
Thank you, Vanna. Yeah.
So that was kind of some of the things that were in this book. The Vietnam War was still fresh in people's minds.
Right.
Yeah.
So you still had a lot of those themes in this book, which people hadn't really realized that a book that was based a genre normally made for kids could tell a story like this.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where the book comes from. Now, one of the things I thought was interesting, do you remember when it said based on the characters produced by, you only saw a man's name, Dave Gibbons.
Right.
You didn't see Alan Moore's name.
Because Alan Moore and Warner Brothers don't get along.
He does not get along with the DC at all.
Oh, okay.
Right.
The man who looks like Rasputin. Right
Yeah,
there.
Rasputin.
Yeah.
So, little backstory for those of you who don't know. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, when they wrote this book, the idea was once DC was done, they would return the rights back to them. They would own the property.
Mm-hmm.
This book,
You said ain't done yet.
it ain't never going back because they realized that they could make graphic novels. This is one of the first books that became this. Because before it was just comics, and then they started making prestige, and they realized we could make money off of this, which Watchmen, again, changing the game. DC was like, yeah, you ain't never getting the rights back for this. Alan Moore has emphatically said and cursed the names and probably cursed people because he wanted these characters back. Said, I'll never work for DC again. He has. He's going back to hating them again, and he's retired. But he has emphatically said, I never want this to be made into a television show. I never want it to be made into a movie. I want nothing to do with it.
Both have been done.
And here we are.
And so you have the Doomsday Clock. You have Watchmen the movie. You have a TV show. And so that's where Alan Moore stands.
Right.
Dave Gibbons has actually helped with the process of making this show, which is why a lot of people really liked the first episode.
Yeah. I would say, like, me not knowing much about Watchmen other than the movie. Which doesn't have anything really to do with what we're going to see other than some of the same characters.
Some of the same ideas. And themes.
But so I forgot that it was coming out, and then I was looking on HBO and I was like, oh, it comes up in 10 minutes? All right, let me get my life together and like, let's go. And so watching that first episode really sucked me in as wanting more. I'm like, this is great. And I don't want to spoil anything yet, so.
Yeah. What did you know it was coming out that Sunday or?
Oh yeah. Okay. I've been paying attention to it.
I forgot.
I think it looks amazing. The director for the first episode,
Nicole.
Is that who it is?
It's Nicole G something.
Okay. Whoever she did a great job. It looks,
Nicole.
It looks great.
Castle.
Castle. It looks really good. There's humor to parts of it. But it's not overly funny.
Right.
It's kind of, there's like almost levity in the points because there are parts where it's intense.
It's funny to the point where ooh,
yeah,
like
there's
you feel guilty laughing.
It's kind of like cringeworthy moments, but everything feels it feels like they know what they're doing because with the Watchmen you have the potential to kind of mess it up. It doesn't seem like just based on the first episode that they're doing that. They have Dan Lindelof has a purpose. He knows where he's going, it seems, and I'm definitely for the ride.
But you said you were only giving it 3.5 for the first episode.
Just because I want to be like, this is great, and then it doesn't stick the landing.
Yeah.
Like if it, we were talking about this in another video. Check us out on YouTube and all the videos that we got. But for our Joker review, one thing that stuck with me was we talked about the movie felt like it was approaching to say stuff, but it never really stuck that landing.
It never fulfilled its promise.
Yeah, and I am reserving judgment for Watchmen because it's got stuff to say. I just don't know if it's going to stick the landing yet. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if it's a full.
For me, I guess I was different. The reason why I enjoyed it because one, I'm a fan of the original comic, and I actually like Zack Snyder's movie. I think it's one of the things that I think is very hard is to take a material like this this is a lot of pages, to condense that to a 2-hour movie is hard. I think no matter what. And we talked about this in The Dark Phoenix. That was 2 years worth of storyline that you tried to condense into 2 hours.
Twice.
Twice.
Yeah.
Failed both times.
Right.
And I think if it lends itself to a television show, but with the original Watchmen movie, I think you hit the beats. It looked great. It really did hit the beats. I think the ending was different, which I think was hard to do. But I liked it. With this, I loved it because of the way it started and the way it subverted with your expectations. I knew that the beginning of the show was going to feature real life events. I read the article where they were like, this is what's going to happen. My skepticism was, how are they going to handle this? And when I saw it, I was like, holy cow. you blew my wildest expectations for portraying something we have never seen on screen. And
that isn't really talked about.
It's not talked about, and I will say this, just for the fact that they did that, and we'll get into spoilers later, that will spark a conversation around the world to a real life history event that is not taught, that is overlooked,
not taught in schools at all.
And
had to learn it in college.
To me, that was enough with the Easter eggs, with the little things, the nods to the book, was enough for me. So the rest of the series, I think, is going to be good.
Yeah.
We're going to keep trying having these videos where we talk about it. But that first episode was enough for me to say, I'm hooked, I'm in.
Yeah.
Because it presented these ideas that I have never seen anywhere else. Mm-hmm. I've never seen the art direction to where that first initial contact after, it just really, especially in these times, it struck a chord with me, where I was emotionally invested, and I was just like, I paused it. I actually paused it because I didn't watch it at 9. I went and saw a movie, came back, and it was like, okay, whew.
Yeah.
Let me make sure everything's done. Mm-hmm. It's like the dog is fed, the wife's asleep. I was like, play. And then I was like, whoa. Yeah. It's been a while since a TV show. I'd say maybe since The Expanse or Battlestar Galactica, that I was like, what am I watching?
Spoilers?
Did you?
Because I'm ready. No, I'm ready to spoil.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm about to say.
That's the stuff to say.
Stuff to say, bro.
So that's how we feel about the first initial episode. Right now, we're about to get into spoilers. We're going to talk about the actual episode. So if you hadn't seen it, this is where you want to pause, go watch it, and come back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but right now, we're going to do our spoiler hand movements. We really should get a graphic that says spoiler.
I put spoiler on the stuff.
Oh, you do put on?
See, you don't go back and watch. They know.
I don't.
Fair enough. I don't even. Like once I put it up, but yeah.
I do go back and watch like when I'm not in it. Like I go back and watch.
Whenever we
do
a review of stuff, I'll put spoiler talk. I'll flash it for like maybe 10 seconds, and then
I haven't seen it because I know in the beginning we were doing it. We were not putting spoilers.
No, yeah, I do it on stuff
now.
Okay. Gemini Man and Zombieland 2, which you can see on our YouTube page, those have spoiler stuff on
it. Spoilers.
So. Madison, what's up?
Great.
I love that girl. She's hilarious.
All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, man. So Tulsa.
Whoo!
1921.
Yeah.
As soon as that flashed, because I didn't know exactly what was going on. You just start off the scene and there's all this, destruction. But once it flashed, I said, "Oh!"
And what was it like for you seeing the silent film of like that? That's a very iconographic. How do I want to say
iconic?
Iconic, but there's a iconography of it of just a black villain usually and a white savior or a knight.
Yeah, and that was that whatever. Subversive.
Yeah, they subverted because you're like, oh, the marshal's black, which was cool, and they were saying, don't worry about militia or street justice. This black marshal is going to stop you from this crooked white sheriff, which is different. You're like, this is interesting.
But it was one of the talkies, and so you had. The mom that was playing the piano, and I've never thought about it.
Was it a piano or was it a calliope?
I don't remember what the instrument is called.
I was asking because it sounded different.
It sounds different. I don't remember what the instrument is called, but I didn't realize that they played those in the theater.
Yes,
I thought that for some reason I thought that it was just this was the only audio we can get on this, and but that person has to follow the movie and know what's coming up, and in order to play that correctly and hype up the scenes or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool to see that, and then to see the emotion behind it. I was like, what's about to happen? And then then we saw some of the massacre from Tulsa in 1921, Black Wall Street. If you don't know about it,
go look it up. There's a lot of people out there This is where I say education is paramount.
Yeah.
So when the episode dropped, I went back and I was like getting different people. I went to see industry people's reactions, different people. Historians are killing the game right now. I was on Twitter and there were literally hundreds of historians who were like, this is what Black Wall Street was, and this is what Tulsa was, who were putting up threads, who were explaining how this happened, what happened, from all over the country. And that's why I was like, when you said they were like they were almost like, thank you for doing this, because it opened up a dialogue to our nation's history.
When we were talking about this when we first got, on Monday, you asked me if I knew about it. I was like, yeah, I knew about it, but only because of being in my Pan-African Studies class at Kent State University and having, these talks and being able to present on this. This is what I presented on with Black Wall Street. Me and my partner was up there in suits. We was like, yo, we're business owners and all that kind of stuff. But I did not know about Black Wall Street before going to college. And so I had my whole education, in North Carolina, Ohio, where I was going to school, and didn't know about it until I went to Kent State.
And it's interesting that you say that, because for those of you who don't know, we're in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah. You went to Kent State. I was taught about the massacre at Kent State. I had this conversation with a bunch of people raised in Columbia, South Carolina. I didn't even know about the Orangeburg massacre until I left, and then learned about it on my own.
And then you have Jackson, down in Jackson, Mississippi, at the same time that this happened at Kent State. There were students that were protesting too, and they also got shot.
And so
it's a HBCU.
And that's why I was thankful. I was trying to look on my phone to look at some of these threads of some of these historians that you can go look. One I know is Kevin Krause. I follow him religiously. Don't come for Kevin. Kevin will body you. This is a dude who has multiple degrees, PhDs, who is a fellow son. He will murder you with words. I have seen him body real people and have deleted their accounts.
I know.
You go for Kevin if you want to. But it was painful, but it was necessary. And to me, that really set up how...
It puts you in a mind frame for the rest of the episode.
And it really did, to me, it really put me in a mind frame of there are real stakes to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that woman crying, which we realized is that this little boy's mom, and then you saw the soldier come in, this Black Wall Street happened at a time after the Civil War where we had...
No, you mean World War I.
World War I, I'm sorry.
It's like, wait, what?
After World War I, where we had... Black people at the time doing well for themselves, and then what you had was basically an overthrow of a duly elected government by white supremacists, and it's so necessary for the time that we live in right now to go back and look and say what we're seeing now that parallels today is not the first time this has happened. And to me, when you saw that going on, the thing that I thought it was terrorizing, but it wasn't like when we watched Joker where you felt like I shouldn't be watching this. It didn't
feel sensational.
Yeah,
it felt educational. And the one thing I want to point out that one of the historians pointed out was you never heard the N-word. Mm-hmm. You never heard it was...
But you got that feel of this is some racist mess without hearing that dialogue.
And I thought that was powerful. I thought the little boy and putting him in the back of the car, and then the dad just furiously writing that note.
Just take care of this boy.
I honestly had to pause. I'm not gonna lie, my sinuses were acting up because I was like, this is some deep.
Somebody was cutting onions at your place.
Oh man, the dog looked at me and was like, "You right? You gonna be okay?"
Cutting onions.
The dog was like, there's 50 more minutes left of this.
Right. So I don't know what you about to do.
And so that imagery, it was powerful. It meant a lot to me. So it was very important, and I'm glad that they handled it with the care, which is to your point. I feel like if they can do that well, they can do other things. I think they can deliver.
And I like the way they wrapped it up. I mean, clearly it's not wrapped up, but at the end of the episode, for those of you who watched, you know that Lou Gossett Jr.
Enemy mines.
Yo, talking about, do you think I can lift 200 pounds? I was like, who is he?
That was a great setup of like, where's that coming from?
Where's this coming from?
But you know what? It really reminded me, when you talk to old people and they be saying wild stuff.
Like, get out of here.
Like, oh, okay. All right, Grady, get out of here.
Yeah. I never said that to old people, but I do.
You said in your head, you lift 100 pounds, you can't lift 20 pounds right
yes,
now.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And I go about my business. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So do you guys think that the boy at the beginning is Lou Gossett Jr.
Yes,
at the end?
because if you remember...
He had the same note.
And
he's 105?
He said he was 105.
Yeah. Which is old, but it's also in a different...
Honestly, I don't know. But it could be because he said... Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But he said, I strung him up. Mm-hmm. And so, but the question is, did he kill him? Or did he find him? And
So
so
they talking about Don Johnson about to be in here for 9 episodes, so I don't know
True.
what he's gonna be doing for the.
Probably flashbacks or
Probably
something.
flashbacks. But the one thing, so when you saw that imagery of the little boy finding the baby, and then the episode just starts, and you see him walking away from Tulsa in flames, and then it goes to the car, the guy listening to the future, the traffic stop.
I was so confused by the future. I was like,
It
oh,
was,
we're about to
it
get
was an
hyped.
interesting thing.
And then it was a
It subverted your imagination of what, or your impressions of what
Woo.
you think a police interaction in a traffic stop was, and it was just like, huh. And then the whole light in the face where you can't see what it was, and then you realize the guy had the white thing on, and it was a black
Yellow.
guy.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah, sorry, it was yellow.
Yeah.
Got ahead of myself.
Yeah.
And then he went back to the car. That whole transition was just so intense.
I was really concerned by I have to call back to headquarters to get my weapon released.
Yes.
And when I first saw that, I was like, that's smart, sort of, but then it's also like, no, he's about to get shot.
And
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it was one of those where like, oh, that's really cool that you have to get that. So there's no like random shootings of people. It has to get approved. But then it's also like, no, because you're taking away that split second where
Do
someone
you think this is a
could
threat?
be-
Can you
Yeah.
determine this is a
Can you
threat?
determine
Do you
if
fear
it's
for
a
your
threat?
life? All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Because if you fear for your life, I don't know if you'd be walking back to the car calm. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Well, the thing is,
but again, they might have different training. I don't
You
know.
had to walk back in your car because
Yeah.
the weapon was there.
Yeah.
And then we saw later on in the episode how weapons are handled. And I think that was interesting. But
According
after,
to the bylaws, they
Yeah.
can't use them.
but I thought,
But I do have a panda head.
I don't know. That was funny though.
Son.
He's like, yo.
but the imagery of
We
the
can't
whole
use it.
thing, from the cop getting shot to seeing the Oklahoma being portrayed by all black people, and
Which
then,
is
and,
what?
and then you
Yeah.
saw the camera follow the cop to get Don Johnson, who was the chief of police, and then just seeing everybody just in these crisp uniforms, and you saw the weight of this, the weight of a cop getting shot, and how they handled it, and how they were.
It's almost as if the last cop that got shot was Regina King.
It could be. It could be.
Because those were like, or during
said
that time frame,
there-
because it was the dark days or
Yeah.
He
whatever.
said there's been a period of peace
Yes,
for
3 years.
3 years.
He said three. Because he mentioned, why would they start this up again?
Right.
And one of the things I thought was one of the things I loved about this is I get to see people who you take front and center that are always kind of background pieces. So I loved when I saw Tim Blake Nelson with the silver mask on as a Looking Glass.
Yeah.
I love Tim Blake Nelson. Ever since.
But you're right, he's always one of those like
Mm-hmm.
secondary.
I loved him ever since he was in the Coen Brothers movie. Wherefore Art, you know what I'm talking
Wherefore
Yeah.
Art Thou, brother?
Yes.
Oh, brother, we're on
Where-
that.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. She got it.
I couldn't
Good
remember
job.
the name, but ever since then. And he was like, and then Don Johnson told him, he's like, all right, I need to get dressed. Put your mask back on.
Yeah.
And so that dialogue between them was awesome. Seeing Don Johnson again from freaking, Miami
Vice.
Steve, what was Nash?
Nash Bridges.
Nash Bridges.
Yeah.
Django.
Yeah.
I love Don Johnson. I'm sorry, but
Do you think it was? Do you understand, or I don't know if they've told us really why he was the only one that could be out without a mask on?
remember,
I know he's the chief.
he's
but
the chief, but also no one knew he was. I don't know if anybody knows he was the chief. It's a possibility they know he works with the police. But
I need to watch it again because I've only seen the episode once.
Yeah, I need
but
to
it
watch
definitely
it too.
does. It's a show that begs repeat viewing already.
oh yeah,
Yeah, because it was weird because there would be points where he would be talking to officers and they wouldn't have the mask on, but it's almost like even the officers around each other would still wear the mask, which is like they were almost protecting their identity from each other, almost, which was.
Well, nobody is supposed to know who
is who.
who is
Yeah.
who you're
'Cause
working
you-
with. I mean, and it looked like you had like the patrol cops, officers, and then you had detectives who kind of had their own look and
Yep.
own appearance.
because you had the Red Scare who
Yeah.
who had the tracksuit on with the red.
Right.
Right.
And then I thought what was interesting was Don Johnson, and again, it's one of those things where you subvert people's expectations. You saw Don Johnson go to a policewoman's house or a policeman's house and talk to the wife and says, your husband's been shot. But then it was that other dialogue that said, did he tell anybody who he was? Did he tell anybody he was police? Which gives, in this universe, the police have a different role than what they have here.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like there are countries where you do not admit you are the police. And it gave that same feel in this. And you know what it reminded me of?
What's that?
Remember in Battlestar Galactica when the people who were police couldn't show their identity?
Yeah.
And they had to cover up? It reminded me of that. It reminded me of when people, like that whole scene, and I love Battlestar Galactica, so I'm going to relate some of this stuff to that. But
silence.
It reminded me of that. And so he was like, well, what did he tell people he did? Oh, he's going to night school. He's like, good. We'll tell people he got carjacked.
Yeah.
And like that whole idea of being a cop is not even dangerous. It's not a profession that people want to be. And it all comes after that opening scene of the Tulsa Massacre.
Yeah.
So you know something like that has to directly affect where we are now in this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about police brutality in this show.
Oh, because they were brutal.
Because it's a, I don't, what's what I'm looking for?
You mean how Regina King just went in and just busted down the door?
Yeah, but it's not just her. Like, police brutality is definitely a part of this show, I think. But it's interesting that they're doing it essentially to white supremacists.
Yeah.
So
you're like, is it?
It's like, oh, it's cool because they're doing it to people that
still,
are racist, but it's still police brutality.
But you got to remember, and that's why I said it. To me, it already paid off, without going any further, because it changed how you viewed the police, and it definitely changed how I viewed. It changed how you felt about police brutality, because we literally could sit here for 20 minutes and name cop shows, and we could name cop shows and watching SVU and Elliot Stabler.
I mean, if SVU ever goes off, because I know they're still making new episodes, if it ever goes off, I think I might cry.
I mean, we've seen Elliot Stabler just jack a dude up.
Yeah, and they had no problem with that.
And so that affects...
Everybody always goes around.
It affects the psyche of the country, because if you are readily fed a diet that the police are allowed to do this, then your population will believe the same thing. And so to see the roles reversed, and you're kind of like, oh, he probably deserved it. And it's one of those things where you're like...
Is it so good to think that?
Yeah, and so it really did make you think. And it made you wonder when you saw where they went for the white supremacists. They, like, Sister Night rolled up in the trailer park. It looked like that was their ghetto.
Yeah, all the places where people are impoverished are white people that we've seen so far. It's interesting that the white supremacists are like living in these impoverished rural areas. That, again, flipping the script of like, well, so are we supposed to feel bad for them, or it's just
it makes you wonder. Okay, so where did this all? I mean, because you have, did this all stem from Tulsa? Does this, you know what I'm saying? So you're just trying to figure out like where's this coming from in this universe?
It's almost like the world as a whole, almost like, oh, we got to over course correct or something to flip stuff.
But remember, we in this world, for those of you who, if you remember from the Snyderverse and in this Watchmen book, this is a different world. Nixon, if you read the book, Nixon was president 3 times. We colonized Vietnam, and you heard that when Regina King was talking about. Oh,
she's from Vietnam.
I was a cop in Vietnam, because she's actually making a Vietnamese delicacy.
Yeah.
And so if you remember, for those of you who have not read the book, if you remember the comedian and Dr. Manhattan were in Vietnam, and you remember Dr. Manhattan just zapping Viet Cong soldiers, and the comedian just with the flamethrower blowing people away. And if you remember that flag, the circle with all of those stars. And Regina King said Vietnam was a state.
Yeah.
So we're already living in a world that is totally foreign to what we have. And
squids raining down? What is that?
now that's from the book. That's from the book where Ozymandias was like, yo.
You ain't know.
I knew, because I read about it. But I was just like, why are squids sitting on
But the thing is,
did they dissolve? Because they just kind of went away.
She just wiped them off.
But the thing is so for me, as a comic fan reading this, that was my holy cow moment when you heard the air raid sirens and you're like, what is that dropping down? And I was like, it looks fleshy. And then it zooms in and it's a squid. I was like, oh my God! Like, because that's the end of the book. A giant squid was supposed to destroy the world. And now you're seeing remnants of that squid. And I was like, what? Like, it was like, it just really hit me. And that's when you realize, oh, this is a whole different world. Like, this is a whole different world that we're living in.
So HBO is this is where you can find Watchmen. Do you think that HBO shows definitely have a lot to live up to with all like the Westworlds, the Leftovers, the Game of Thrones? So it's like you have to come correct if you're gonna.
I mean,
Succession.
Even before that,
Deep.
If you think go back to the beginning, HBO was
The Wire.
The Wire, The Sopranos. HBO. Remember the commercial for HBO, and it's a mindset. We're not television. We're HBO.
Yeah.
In other words, we're better than television.
Yeah.
And that's where this show has, to me, filled the gap of that Sunday night viewing where you're going to be like, what's going to happen next? Because when they raided that house where they were trying to capture whoever the cop killer was, you were like, okay, this is cool. The music, they're running through cows. And my man said, shh.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's about to be
Them
bad.
cows got slaughtered.
I felt bad. I was like, oh, obviously no. I don't really know because it looked real. I would hope that no cows were
I
hurt.
didn't read the credits to see that part, so I don't know.
I was like, oh, no, not the cows.
Oh, you know Peter's on. They were angry.
Peter's on set.
Peter's like, this cow was.
Yeah.
But it was the owl ship, son. When Regina said,
now that's not. Is that?
We don't know. We don't know if that's owl. We don't know.
We just know it's an owl.
It could be. It could be just an owl ship.
Yeah.
Since they've again, this is after the Watchmen. They could have raided the technology. That technology could have been handed over. We don't know. But just to see the owl ship, and then Don Johnson was like higher, and and old girl was like, "It can't go any higher."
So the 7th Cavalry are kind of using Rorschach's journal as a manifesto for them.
It seems to be.
Now, Rorschach
was not.
He wasn't a racist.
No, but
that's why I was confused.
There are terms that he would use in the book against people that were gay, and he wasn't exactly kind to them.
But you got to. But remember, the book was written at a certain time when that was a group of people you could be. Right. You could be homophobic.
Right, but what I'm saying is, not every character was like that.
No, but you've also got to remember, I can have a book, and I can change whatever it is that you have, and twist it to my own agenda.
Yeah.
And again, we don't know what was in this journal.
Right.
We don't know how much of the journal they have. We don't know if they're just using that iconic imagery. Because let's be honest, V for Vendetta, the whole idea of the remember the 4th of November, the treasonous plot, whatever, the gunpowder plot. Everybody runs around with the Guy Fawkes mask. The original Guy Fawkes was going to reinstate the patriarchy of Catholicism. That was what his ultimate, if I remember, I could be wrong, but he was trying.
Let us know.
He was trying to reinstate the rule of church by overthrowing the government. But so right now everybody's wearing these Guy Fawkes masks, but that's not what the original Guy Fawkes.
Right.
We always see it as the Antifa or the anti-fascist or whoever it is. The protesters are always wearing it.
Right.
But that's not the original message. And
it gets twisted and turned.
So we don't know what they know about Rorschach. We know they believe in conspiracy theories. And they believe, just like we have people today who go to different pockets of the internet and have conspiracy theories. It's interesting that that's what's happening here without the internet.
Right.
So we don't know how much of it got out and how much of it has been twisted by the time the 7th Cavalry got out.
Right. And then you have the watch batteries.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's going on with the watch batteries?
Because in their messaging, it was like, tick tock, tick tock. So when I saw the watch batteries, I was like, okay, well, that makes sense as to, but those were lithium batteries too.
So
like
are they trying to build a bomb? Or are they
We
trying
don't,
to?
we don't know, but we know whatever it is, it's dangerous enough to know that they are one of the main villains throughout this whole thing. Because if you watched at the end, they had that teaser because there are 2 teasers. The one that came out a month ago that we went over, and there was a new one at the end where you saw the woman of Asian descent was like, "We have to stop the set. I will help you stop them."
I have a plan to do.
And so we don't know what those watch batteries are for, and we also know whatever it was important enough that they were willing to kill themselves to keep out of the law enforcement's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which to me, that's dedication. When you when Regina King, Sister Knight, got him, and he was like.
Yeah.
you ain't
He
got
was
me.
like, "You thought you got me,
Yeah.
but let me tell you, you really
Right.
got me." And so,
Spit it up.
Yeah. She was like tapped him.
Yeah, spit it up.
you know what that remind me of?
What?
For those of you guys who have parents or a dog, and the dog is about to eat something it's not supposed to.
Like, don't eat that. Don't eat that.
And,
Like,
and the dog is like, "You know I'm about to eat this."
right.
Yeah.
Gone.
So ready for the second episode?
I'm ready.
We still got to talk about
Oh, my bad.
Jeremy Irons.
Who supposedly is playing.
Everybody says he's Ozzy. Is it Ozymandias or Ozymandias?
I thought it was Ozymandias.
Okay, I don't know. Adrian Veidt.
Yeah,
Veidt. Okay. He hasn't been officially confirmed as that, but
No.
they're kind of saying he probably is. He's off living somewhere.
He's in Europe or something, right?
Yeah, with
Great Britain.
two servants.
More than 2, it looked like.
I thought it was just
He
two.
got 2 that he's real cool
It
with.
looked
Oh, just 2 main ones maybe.
It looked
I'm like, what's she massaging?
Just massaging them.
I honestly did not realize she was massaging at first.
What you thought?
I thought she was doing the deeds.
I did too.
And because I was like, I thought she was, and I was like, man, HBO was going all out.
Coming to America, the world.
Yeah, I was
Right.
like, I thought she was doing that, and then I was like,
clean your
and then
house.
and then they panned again, subverting your expectations.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
Giving a massage.
Showing him this leg.
I was like,
what is the
I was like, classism is real. I was like, you out, man.
And he had one bite of the cake. He got this big old cake. I can't stand when I see
But this
things
is the
like
thing.
that. It's
But
like,
this is the
one
thing.
bite.
Are they real people? Because remember, the first thing they did was hand him a horseshoe, and he was like,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he made them. Who knows?
and that's what I was like. He might. And again, I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Because they could be people, but when the horseshoe thing happened, well, the horseshoe and the massaging of the naked leg,
Yeah. I was
Right.
just like, what is
she
this?
was not flinching at all, and I was
At
like,
all.
And
like, man, you must have a great severance package, like especially in the age of Me Too. I was like, you just
What's
massaging
going
your
on?
boss leg like that.
Hey,
I was
we
like,
don't know that Me Too is in the
I
world.
understand that, but what I'm saying is HBO in the turn.
Oh, that's it,
Like,
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
you went there. I was like, okay.
Well, maybe they figured, hey, we do these toast things, we can get away with something else. Y'all give us.
We
leave
throw him
it
a
or
bone.
something.
But it's
Right.
like,
So he's off doing his own thing, and the world thinks he's dead because we
Yes.
saw in the paper. I think it said Vec dead.
yeah. We saw Dr. Manhattan on Mars.
We saw
In
him, or they just
that's in
mentioned
the-
him.
That
No,
was in the
remember in the
teaser,
TV.
right?
In the TV, if you go back and watch,
Oh, okay.
go back and watch the episode when
He was in there.
see
Okay.
Dr. Manhattan was building a castle,
Okay.
and then he just dropped it.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's live or if that was recorded. It said, I think it said live. You were talking about Veet and being dead.
Dr. Manhattan being on
Yeah.
Mars.
Yeah.
Getting his leg massage.
His leg massage, yeah. I'm just curious to see. Essentially, I'm curious to see when Night's sister is going to team up, or when that storyline is going to team up with whatever Ozymandias is doing.
I don't think there's going to be a team up.
Or not team up, but when the stories are
When's
going
it
to
gonna
meet.
merge?
I think what we're going to see next is Regina King, because we've seen it in the trailer. She's going to end up teaming up with not Delta Burke. What's her name?
Oh, Gene Smart?
Yes, thank you. I could not.
Spectre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in. Like, when does the FBI come in?
Mm-hmm.
Because we see the police chief killed, so Gene Smart shows up, and then you have Louis Gossett Jr.
I did it. And I hope he rots in hell. Sorry, time to kill moment.
But I mean, that you're right. That we have that. Did he really do it? And remember, he had the note in his lap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we also know Don Johnson ain't exactly squeaky clean because something.
picture-
that picture.
And he was doing drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, drugs really.
Cocaine.
I mean, he has a high stress job. We don't know. cocaine in that universe might just be, Tums.
Nope. We are not advocating that.
I'm
That's
just
not what we're doing.
All I'm saying is, it looked like it was one of those things where they were like,
It was really casual.
But it was. That's what I'm saying. Like his wife was like, "You did a bump." Like usually, like if you do coke, yeah, your spouse is kind of like,
bro, really? Cocaine with the kids?
Everybody, see, that's what I'm saying. Like everybody was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe
I don't know what's going on with
that.
that.
Yeah, maybe cocaine ain't the drug we think it is out there.
So wrap this up then. Wrap this up, y'all.
Cocaine ain't the drug that we think it is.
Here we go.
Universe.
Please
On that note,
don't start a video with that.
No.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Wow.
Right there. There we go.
But no,
we're excited for episode 2.
I really am.
Yeah,
There's so much to digest in this episode.
I got more to do research wise.
I gotta go back and watch it. I honestly want to read this and then go back and watch it to see how, because there are little Easter eggs that I
Things
saw.
you might have missed or whatever.
And so many different things.
Yeah.
I love the whole pod thing. When they was like, put him in the pod.
Oh yeah.
And then you see, I'm so excited for this show only because
you talking about with Looking Glass, like when
remember when, and because I want to see what happens because you see Looking Glass in some of the clips or the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Looking Glass ends up where the 7th Cavalry was, where they were doing their little speech from.
Mm-hmm.
So you see I want to believe he finds out whatever this conspiracy is because Louis Gossett Jr. alludes that there's something else going on.
Yeah.
And HBO shows recently have always had the big thing going on and then the underlining. We saw that in Game of Thrones where it took 5 seasons to figure out Littlefinger was actually the real main baddie.
Bruh.
Yeah.
It took 5 seasons. The Wire. You saw everybody thought Avon Barksdale and Springer were the bad guys.
Hold up, I ain't finished it.
Bruh. The show is over 20 years old.
This is the whole show.
Yeah.
I'm still going back and watching it.
You gonna tell me that you ain't seen the end of Breaking Bad or something?
Yeah, I've seen the end of that.
Hey, Kaiser Sose did it. I'm just gonna let you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm stuck on season 2 because it's not as cool as first season. All right, go ahead.
so you see those, but season 2 has a direct influence.
I know, and so I got to get through that,
Son.
but I'm not through that.
So we're gonna stay on
Go
the
ahead.
video about the Watchmen after.
But yeah, so you saw.
2 W's.
You think that the 7th Cavalry are the big bad guy, but it might be V is still the big bad guy, and they don't even realize it. Like V could be sponsoring them. We don't know. V could be the ones writing them checks.
Right.
Talk about cause chaos. We still hadn't seen so many characters.
Because
We
he's
got 8 more
definitely
episodes.
ends justifies the means type of guy. Like he's not worried about
How to
killing
get
a few
there.
thousand people. He just wants to. He's worried about overall peace, and it doesn't matter how he gets there.
Not even, and does he still believe in peace? Because he could be like, you know what? I messed up. I could eradicate all of y'all. Because he's working on some play, and he wants frickin' Frack to star in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To your point, I don't know where this is gonna go, but so far it's delivered. It's met my expectations and beyond what I would have thought this. So I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
So we're in for
Suit up.
You need
night sister over here, or sister night. No, night sister.
Night sister?
Yeah, you're night sister. That's us. Find us here on YouTube, also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
Oh, hold on.
WOTX.com.
Before we go,
and
here's
Leroy's gonna pull up a name, I guess, for you to do something.
Michael Harriot, writer at The Root. I want to say Matt Stoller, Kevin M. Krause. Those are the 3 that come off the top of my head. Check those Twitter handles out. They have been breaking down the Tulsa massacre and just how all of this plays into where we are now. So I love a show that'll educate you. It made me want to go back and read about our history. So go check out those Twitter handles. I warn you, don't come with no BS, because they will body your account. You will end up like them people in the owl ship when they put them on fire. That's gonna be y'all.
Dang.
On that note, we're out.
Wow.